Hey there guys, what's up? It's All About Mike 18 here with another movie review. Guys, in this video I will be reviewing Kick-Ass 2, the sequel to the 2010 hit action comedy Kick-Ass. Now guys, if you remember, a lot of people actually really liked the first Kick-Ass. When I mean hit action comedy, I mean hit action comedy. I mean a lot of people, mostly everyone that watched the first Kick-Ass, was really impressed by it. And I think mainly a lot of people liked it because of the fact that it was so different from many other comic book / superhero movies. It was so much more violent, so much more raunchy, you know, and definitely not for kids. And a lot of people really liked the first Kick-Ass. And, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that grew such a big fan base. Kick-Ass 1 was really popular. And myself included, guys, I really enjoyed it. But here's the secret with me and the first Kick-Ass. I just watched the first Kick-Ass earlier this year, back in early 2013. Yeah, I know, it's that shocking. I first heard about Kick-Ass when I was talking, when my friends were talking about it with me, and they were like, "Did you ever see the first Kick-Ass?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." And then one of my friends was like, "You gotta watch this movie." So he lent me a copy of it. I watched it, and I was really impressed by it. It was such a different kind of, I definitely agree, it was such a different kind of superhero comic book movie in the way of the violence and the gore and the comedy and all that. And I really had a lot of fun watching the first Kick-Ass, and I was really looking forward to the sequel from that. I actually just bought the first Kick-Ass on Blu-ray a couple days ago at Best Buy for like $10 to get ready for Kick-Ass 2 in honor of the fact Kick-Ass 2 was coming out. I mean, this was such a good enough, it was that good of a movie, I had to add it to my movie collection. So yeah. Anyway guys, Kick-Ass 2, I was really looking forward to it because of the fact that I like the first one a lot. I mean, it's not one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I mean, it might be, but I really enjoyed it. And I was really hyping Kick-Ass 2 up until a few days ago, until the reviews started coming in for this movie. I mean, this movie was getting a lot of bad reviews. It has like a 28%? A 28%! Well, the first one has like a 77. I mean, I was so shocked by that, that the critics were saying it was bad, and I was praying that I would like it. And here's the big question, guys. Here's the answer to the big question. Is Kick-Ass 2 a bad sequel? Is it really as bad as critics are saying it is? No, it's not. Critics, you're wrong. I'm sorry. I know we all have opinions. I'm not going to talk down on your opinions. I'm not going to say that, oh, your opinion's stupid or anything like that. I don't know what you guys are saying. But I'm not going to say that. I am going to say this, though. Did we watch the same movie? Because Kick-Ass 2 was awesome. What movie are you actually reviewing? I really loved this movie. This was such a really good sequel to Kick-Ass. I had a really fun time watching this movie, and it was a really good summer movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the summer. It's probably the most fun I had at the movies this summer. Probably the most fun movie. I really enjoyed Kick-Ass 2. Such a great sequel, and I really liked it. So guys, let's get into my actual review for Kick-Ass 2. The first thing I'm going to start talking about is the story. Now guys, I'm not going to really sum up the first Kick-Ass too much. If you saw the first one, you know what's going on. There's basically about 3 storylines going on in this movie. Our main character, you remember him from the first one, his human name is, you know, he's Dave. His alter ego is obviously Kick-Ass. Now, Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kick-Ass, and Dave is kind of, you know, he's kind of, in the beginning of this movie, he's kind of done with Kick-Ass. You know, he beat the bad guys in the end of the first Kick-Ass, and, you know, he's been done with it for a while. He's put away the costume for a bit, but it turns out he actually inspired a whole bunch of people to actually start becoming superheroes. So a whole bunch of people started making these costumes, and they ended up becoming their own type of superhero. So they all formed this team with the leader, and the leader is Jim Carrey, who's known as Colonel Stars and Stripes. And they all want Kick-Ass to join their team. So Dave decides it's time to put the costume back on, become Kick-Ass, and start doing good deeds and helping others and beating the bad guys and stopping all types of crime. So Kick-Ass joins this superhero team, and that's basically all I'm going to say about Kick-Ass's side of the story. Then you have Hit Girl's side of the story. You all remember Hit Girl from the first movie, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, and Now, Chloe Grace Moretz in this movie, she's obviously grown up. She's still affected by the fact that her father was killed by those bad henchmen in the first movie, you know, Big Daddy, Nicolas Cage. Unfortunately, we don't have Nicolas Cage in this movie, but as we know, he was killed off. So Hit Girl, she's still going around as Hit Girl. She's still, you know, fighting bad guys. But it turns out her guardian really doesn't want her doing this anymore. But she, you know, she feels that she made a promise to her father to keep protecting the city. And she agrees to stop being Hit Girl. So she puts away her costume and she wants to become a normal teenage girl, and she starts to hang out with these other teenage girls, and, you know, she wants to forget about, you know, being Hit Girl and all that. That's what's going on with Hit Girl's side of the story. And then we have the third side of the story. We have McLovin. Yeah, I'm going to call him McLovin. You know what? We will always remember Christopher Mintz Plasse as McLovin from Superbad. We always will. We can't help it, okay? He is McLovin. So, you guys remember McLovin in the first movie? His father was killed by Kick-Ass because Kick-Ass shot him with a bazooka and blew him up. And so McLovin in this movie, he's really pissed. I mean, he is super pissed off at Kick-Ass, so he wants to become the main supervillain. So he makes his own costume and becomes a new supervillain known as the MFer. I can't say the whole name in this video because it's the mother effer. That's all I'm going to say, guys. You guys know what I'm trying to say. That is his new supervillain name, and he sets up his own team of supervillains to get revenge against Kick-Ass for the fact that Kick-Ass killed his father. And that's basically all I'm going to say about Kick-Ass 2. That's the overall story, guys. And I think the movie was very well written. I really liked the premise going into the movie. I thought that, oh wow, I like what they're going to be doing with the characters in this movie. That's pretty cool. And so Kick-Ass 2, guys, very well written overall. Now, moving on, guys, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the cast for Kick-Ass 2. Now, unfortunately, as I said, we don't have Nicolas Cage in the movie. That's a little bit of a drawback because he was so awesome in the first Kick-Ass. You guys know he was. But, you know, his character was killed off, so that's understandable. Anyway, guys, as we had in the first movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson reprises his role as Kick-Ass. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, he was really good in the first Kick-Ass. He did a really good job as Dave, you know, the nerdy kid that likes superhero movies and comic book movies. But you know what, that's me, so that's exactly how I am too, so that's cool. And he did a good job in the first Kick-Ass, and he also does a very good job here. I really liked his character. I like what they were doing with his character in this movie, as what they did with his character in the first one. And he does a good job in the movie. Good job, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now let's talk about probably the fan favorite, and that is Chloe Grace Moretz as Hit Girl. She killed it. She stole the movie in the first Kick-Ass. She really did. We were so surprised by how, like, a 12-year-old girl would portray this badass superhero who kills people with knives and guns and stuff, you know? We were so shocked by that, and we really fell in love with that character. I fell in love with that character. I love the character of Hit Girl. And in this movie, I love what they did with her character and how she's trying to become more of a teenage girl, and she's trying to give up her life as Hit Girl. And Chloe Grace Moretz does a fantastic job in this movie, as she did with the first one. She obviously has grown up a bit, and she does a really good job. She's a great actress. She's going places. She's going to be in the upcoming new Carrey remake, so got to give her props for that. And I really like her in this movie. Of course, she does a really good job. And Chloe Grace Moretz is actually kind of hot. And I know what you guys are thinking. Do not call me a creep or a perv down below in the comments. It's okay if I say those things because I'm actually, believe it or not, she's about 16 years old. I'm around her age, so it's not creepy for me to say it. All you adults who like Hit Girl in this movie, yeah, it's creepy if you say it, but for me, no, it's all good. Anyway, guys, moving on. Christopher Mintz Plasse plays the MFer in this movie. He does a good job. He was good in the first one. Does a good job as the supervillain in this movie. Not the best supervillain of all time in a comic book movie, but still he does a good job. And a new addition to the cast is actually Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes. And he's kind of like the leader of the superhero team that Kick-Ass joins. And I like Jim Carrey in this movie. I was a little bit let down that he wasn't in the movie as much as I wanted him to be, but he still does a really good job. Gives a good performance, even though he isn't supporting this movie, even though he's not supporting it for good reasons, I guess. But he was still really good in the movie, and even though I would have liked to see him in it a little bit more. But anyway, guys, that's all I'm gonna talk about for the cast. Moving on, Kick-Ass 2 is rated R, and man, that is a very appropriate rating for this movie. This is definitely, as was the first Kick-Ass, this is definitely not a movie for kids. Kids should not be going to see this movie at all. I mean, this would probably scar a kid for life. This is not the kind of superhero comic book movie that a kid should watch. If a kid wants to go see a superhero comic book movie, go watch Man of Steel or even Iron Man 3 this year. Not Kick-Ass 2. Definitely not for kids. It's obviously, it has a lot of the same factors that the first Kick-Ass had. It has all the violence, the blood and the gore, and all the bad language, and the raunchy comedy that is definitely not for kids. Very appropriately R-rated, and I love that about the Kick-Ass movies, how they're rated R, and they're very violent and bloody and gory, and I love that about them. Now, moving on, guys, it's time for me to give my rating for Kick-Ass 2. I thought about this for a while, and I really enjoyed this. I am going very high with my rating. I really had a fun time watching this movie, and that's what I gotta praise this movie for. I'm gonna give Kick-Ass 2 a 9 out of 10. That's a pretty damn high score. Guys, in my opinion, the critics are way off on this movie. I would say definitely go see it. I had such a fun time watching it. Now, getting into the things I liked and did not like about the movie, like I said, the cast all does a great job. Supporting and the main cast, especially Chloe Grace Moretz as Hit Girl, gives a really good performance. And, of course, Aaron Taylor-Johnson as Kick-Ass. They both do a good job. Christopher Mintz Plasse does a good job as the main villain. The story was very well written. I like what they did with most of the characters in this movie, and they're not even afraid to kill characters off in this movie. I must add that as well. And, yeah, so Kick-Ass 2, very well written, even though I think the first Kick-Ass was probably maybe written a little bit better than the second one. The movie was also very well directed. A few of the action scenes were very well filmed and well shot and very well made, in my opinion. So good job on the part of the director for this movie. I know this movie has a different director than the first movie did, but both directors did a good job on both movies. What else? The score. The score. I really loved the score for the first Kick-Ass. I really enjoyed it. The score for this movie is also very good. I really like the score. I love the theme. The end theme that was played in the end of this movie is played in the end of Kick-Ass 2, and I love that. And a really good job on the score. Also, the action scenes and the violence. Definitely, the first Kick-Ass had all of that, and I think Kick-Ass 2 went even bigger on the action and the violence. There is so much more blood and guts and gore in this movie, if you ask me. I mean, you have people just getting shot, stabbed, people get arms cut off, and people getting, hit by cars and stuff like that. I mean, that is just so awesome with Kick-Ass 2. I mean, the action scenes are so well done, really entertaining, and the violence is great. It really is. The action scenes are also very well choreographed. There was a lot of fist fight scenes, and I think they were very well choreographed and also very well filmed. And I also must add the ending of the movie. I want to talk about that. I really enjoyed the ending of the movie. I like what they did with some of the characters by the end of the movie. And yeah, that's about everything I loved about Kick-Ass 2, guys. I basically gave you guys everything I loved about the movie. I had a really fun time watching it, and that is probably the thing that I love the most about Kick-Ass 2. It's the fact that I had such a fun time watching it, and I just really, really enjoyed myself watching it. So that is what I love Kick-Ass 2 for, is because I had a smile on my face almost the whole entire time as I was watching the movie. That tells you that this is such a really good, well-done movie, and I love that about Kick-Ass 2. Now, guys, getting to the things I did not like about the movie, the humor. I feel that the humor, not all the jokes were that funny in this movie. I mean, please, this movie's still a hell of a lot funnier than Grown Ups 2, which came out this year. But not all the humor worked for me. I think the Kick-Ass 1 was a lot funnier than Kick-Ass 2 was. But there were a few funny scenes, just not all of them were that funny to me, in my opinion. Some humor could have been written better. And my only other complaint with the movie is the ending fight scene's a little too predictable for me. I mean, I knew what was going to happen. It was obvious in my opinion. The first Kick-Ass, I really didn't expect what was coming in the end, but Kick-Ass 2, I kind of saw what was going to happen. But anyway, guys, that's basically it. I really enjoy Kick-Ass 2, a really good sequel. I don't think it's as good as the first one. I think I like the first one just a little bit more, but it's kind of like with Halloween and Halloween 2. Halloween, excellent, original, classic movie I really loved. Kick-Ass, excellent, original, probably classic movie that I really loved. Halloween 2, really, really good sequel, not as good as the first. Kick-Ass 2, really, really good sequel, not as good as the first Kick-Ass. That's how I see it. The sequel is very well done, not what the critics are saying it is, and I really enjoyed it, guys. I had such a fun time watching this movie. The action scenes, there's a scene on a van that's just so action-packed, it's so entertaining, and that's the thing I love about this movie. It's definitely one of the most entertaining, fun movies I've seen all summer, and it's one of my favorite films of the summer, actually. I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend you guys see Kick-Ass 2. It's such a good movie. So, guys, that's it for my review of Kick-Ass 2. My big question is to you guys, did you like Kick-Ass 2? Was it good? And my even bigger question is, what do you like more, Kick-Ass or Kick-Ass 2? What was the better movie? Let me know down below. As for me, as I said, I really love Kick-Ass. 9 out of 10 I give it, and it's a definite must-buy for me on Blu-ray. I definitely highly recommend it to you guys, especially if you love the first Kick-Ass. So that's it, guys, for my movie review of Kick-Ass 2. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and check out my movie review for The Butler. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.